Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.
Todd never sugarcoats it. Does he tell it straight? You bet. Does he deliver with a sense of humor? Always.
I always start my Sunday mornings off listening to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. It has tons of information, and he has such a great sense of humor.
My friends and I always tune in to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Hold on tight. Don't let go. It's time for the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Welcome to the Todd L. Levitt Marijuana Law Podcast. Good morning, good evening, and good night. I'm yours truly, attorney Todd L. Levitt, broadcasting and podcasting. Once again, folks, from the mothership, the Black Diamond Group mothership in the middle of the mitten, pure Michigan, baby, in a beautiful green nutrient field. Phones, drones, and clones. Clones, and clones. Voters, Tuesday, go to the ballot boxes. My prediction is Michigan will join the other states around the great United States of America and become a full recreational cannabis state, folks. There you go. Absolutely. That's a prediction right here on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Right on.
And that's, what do you think of that, Craig Russell?
Well, we're not the only state that's going for that. There's other states that have initiative and ballot initiatives for legal cannabis on the ballots, not only for medicinal, but also for recreational. We'll talk a little bit about that coming up, but it's going to be an interesting day Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm stoked. It's passing. State of Michigan, it's passing. And by the way, we have a huge show. We opened the show today with Unchained by Van Halen. I love Eddie Van Halen, David Lee Roth. I just wanted to turn it and burn it today and just stoke the airwaves with some Unchained. So we'll be playing that throughout the entire show. We have a huge show. Rachel's back in the mothership, and she's going to be talking with you and I in regards to the issue last week whereby one of the largest cannabis companies around the world, they are attempting to, if you haven't heard about this, trademark the word cannabis. So there's been a lot of activity online and other places in regard to the pros and cons of that. So the question is, can this company trademark the word cannabis? And Rachel's done some crack research. Obviously, she went to law school. She graduated. She's got a lot of info in regards to that. So we're going to be talking about that, Craig Russell. Also, we have an update on the THC breathalyzer.
Ooh.
And we talked about that a few, I think 3 or 4 weeks back.
Yes, we did.
Big response on that. So we have some update on the THC breathalyzer and a lot of other great information right here on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show with my good friend Craig Russell. How you doing, Hustle?
I'm doing well. I can't wait to hear what Rachel has to say about this trademark thing. I think that's very interesting, and it'll be interesting to see some of the research and some of the precedents that she's found out, because I don't want to get into it right at this exact minute, but I think it's just going to be interesting. Can't wait to hear what she has to say.
Yeah. Hey, big shout out, by the way, to all the shredders from all over the world who, together with myself, just participated yesterday in the Iceman Cometh 2018 from Kalkaska to Traverse City to Timber Ridge there. It was a great event, Craig. I mean, all the boys were there. Big Hair was there. Big Daddy, Chadster, Chucky, Shafe. Everybody was out there shredding hard. So a big shout out to all the participants in the Iceman, which is the granddaddy of all the point-to-point mountain bike races. Again, we started in Kalkaska and ended up in Timber Ridge. Big kudos to law enforcement. The Sheriff's Department did a great job out there of keeping everybody safe, and what an event. Just a great event.
It's a great time. Not only does that area host a lot of events like that, so they know what they're doing when it comes to that, but how did the Levitt Law racing team fare in this event?
Well, we did great. We all started in different waves. I mean, there's dozens and dozens of waves, thousands of people racing in this event, and I was in wave 21. I try to beat my time each year, so I did quite well. Everybody did. Everybody had a great time, and in the end, it's just about 20,000, 30,000 people there. Jordan Wakely was there. Todd Wakely was there. Michigan was representing. But there's people from all over the world. The pro class was just outstanding this year. But again, kudos to law enforcement, all the organizers, Gordy out at Timber Ridge, people of Kalkaska, Traverse City, and everyone in between who assist the riders because, I mean, it's about 36 miles.
Yes.
Check this out. I did something really cool last week.
What's that?
I went down with my cousin Anthony. Anthony's a really AZ baby. We went down to Bourbon Fest in Indiana.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a big company down there, Cap and Cork, and they put on a Bourbon Fest. And you get down there and you get a number, and when your number's picked, you get to go up and try to purchase some Pappy Van Winkle. I mean, they have some of the best bourbon you'll ever come across in the country at Bourbon Fest. They have some George T. Stagg and, oh boy, I mean, William Weller. We got ourselves some really good vintage bottles of Weller, but we didn't get the good stuff. The Pappy Van Winkle 20 years, what we were going after.
I lived in Fort Wayne for a couple of years a long time ago. It's a beautiful town and nice people, and it's a good place for something like that. You know, of course, have you ever been to Kentucky down in the Bourbon Trail in that area? That's quite a rush if you're a bourbon guy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. No, AZ and I, we had a great time with G-Money, Rosanna, Amanda. It was just awesome. But, hey, we have a huge show, the Todd Levitt Law Show, broadcasting and podcasting all over the world. You can catch us on just about every SoundCloud, Podbeam, Libsyn, Spotify. Check out the show. We have a huge show. We're going to be talking about trademarking the word cannabis. Can that be allowed? I mean, that's a big issue. I mean, can you trademark the word cannabis? We're going to be talking about THC breathalyzer issue. But first, I have a complaint, Craig.
I can't believe that.
I'm walking into my local pet store last week, Solden's, in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. See my boy Tyler there, get some dog food for my dog. And as I'm walking in, there's a lady and her friend walking out. Now, I always hold the door for people, especially if the door is going to smack them in their noggin. I was literally at the exact point in time and place where this lady was coming out and I was going in, and under every circumstance, she should have at least held the door with her foot or her hand so it didn't smack me in my noggin. The lady looked right at me. She didn't hold the door. It almost smacked me in my face. I put my hand up at the last second. I could not believe how freaking rude this lady was. And honestly, I mean, this is the kind of lady in the situation where you want to turn around and just shout out to this person as loud as you can, you know, vulgarities. Now, I'm not saying I'm that type of guy, nor would I do it. But, you know, how about some common decency? And we talk about it on the show every week. I mean, I believe in code. I believe in honor. And I'm 53. I was born in an era where, you know, you respect one another and you look out for one another. I always hold the door for people. I'll even use caution. If somebody's walking in from the parking lot, I'll still hold the door for them. This lady didn't even go as far as to put her hand out to imply she should have held the door. I'll do that sometimes. I'll even put my hand out so the person who's coming up behind me knows that at least I tried. She didn't even frickin' try.
And, man, I hate that. And I hate when people, they'll hold the door or you hold the door open for them and they walk right past you and don't even say thank you or anything like that. Remember when we were growing up with the golden rule, do unto others as you have them do to you. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And why people would do that is beyond me.
Hey, Craig listeners, it's Rachel here.
Hey, Rachel.
Sorry, I wasn't supposed to interject until later when my segment came, but you know what? This Solden's topic really got me fired up. So, all right, I have a confession. I'm just being really honest with everyone, okay? I do this thing. I try to do it once a week, and it's a good karma thing. I just do it so I get good karma. I stand there and, you know, I wait for people, even if they're cashing out. You know, it's a ridiculously long time that I'm waiting. But I do it to feel good inside, and I hold the door like legitimately for maybe 40 seconds. I might look ridiculous, but these people are so happy that I'm doing it. And So anyway, you know what? I challenge all the listeners this week. Go out there, be ridiculous. Just stand there and just hold the doors open for the masses.
Good for you, Rachel. I'm glad you do that. Good for you.
And it's selfish. It makes me feel good. But you know what? Karma's real. So I challenge listeners, go do that this week. That's all. I'm going to give it back to my dad, okay?
Okay, yes, she's right. Completely 138% right. Do unto others as you have them do to you. People will appreciate it when you do little things like that for them.
Yeah, I couldn't believe this lady. And you know what? People don't have to hold a door for me. I'm a big boy. I can get the door myself. But it was just, that moment in time. And I also want to give a big apology out there to all the substitute teachers that, were substituting for my teachers growing up in both elementary, junior high, and into high school. I don't know why. Something just struck me last week about substitute teachers. Maybe it was Van Halen. I'm not sure what it was. But, I'm just saying I was that guy. I'd have to go to the bathroom and never come back. So, hey, excuse me, Miss Russell, can I go to the bathroom? And they, sure, Todd.
Sure you can, Todd. Here's
the key to the bathroom. And I would say, no, I don't need the key because I don't want to take the key knowing I was skipping out of class and skipping school. So I would just take off and never come back. Bad advice. Look, if any kids are listening to the show, we highly recommend you stay in class. Craig, we have a huge show. I'm just coming
we do.
Fresh off the Iceman race yesterday in Traverse City, and we were shredding the gnar hard. And hopefully there's a lot of people there who are heading back home, and they had a great time, and it was unbelievable.
We should probably get to Rachel in her next segment talking about the trademarking of the word cannabis. Plus, we also have more election news. There's other states other than Michigan that have cannabis measures on the ballot. We will talk about that coming up. The Todd L. Levitt Law Show when we come back. The Todd L. Levitt Law Show thanks you for listening to our podcast. If you have a business you think people would want to hear about, the Todd L. Levitt Law Show accepts advertising. We can promote your business to a very specialized, targeted audience. Any size commitment and any budget. Email toddlevittlawshow@gmail.com for more information about sponsoring and advertising on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show podcast.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, broadcasting and podcasting once again from the mothership, fresh off the Iceman Cometh with my boys Chucky and Shafe and Shipley and Pancakes and Big Hair and all the other thousands of racers out there. Saw my good buddy Todd Wakely out there. Kudos to Jordan Wakely. He always shreds the gnar. We love all the Wakeleys. Craig, let's not take up any more time. We have to get to cannabis and trademark law. There's a company, a great company, by the way. I support this company, but they're trying to trademark the word cannabis, and there's a lot of chatter out there about that. So we're going to bring Rachel on the show, who's in the mothership. Without further ado, how you doing, Rach?
Hello, door opener extraordinaire, Rachie.
Todd Jr.'s in the house. Woohoo!
How's everything been going, Craig?
Very good. Things are going well. Getting ready for the election on Tuesday. I think it's going to be a game changer in a lot of places. So there's a company that wants to trademark the name cannabis. How is that going to work?
So first, let me just give a little background in what trademarking is, because it's very complex. It even took me a little while to understand it. I'm not going to lie. But I'll just give you just a little snippet into what it is, just so we're all kind of on the same page. So. All right. For example, if you go into a shoe store, DSW shoes, all right, and you're looking for a pair of Nikes, you don't go ask the store lady, hey, where are the Nikes? You go over, you look for the trademark, which is Nike, and then also the swoosh, because trademarks include logos also, not just words. So, right. and you know what Nikes are. So that's why trademarking laws exist. And basically, trademark law, it governs the use of a word, a phrase, a symbol, product shapes, logos, so that goods are identified, and the trademark distinguishes those goods. And this includes goods or services, all right?
And just to add to that, Rachel, in regards to trademarks, if you look at any product, folks out there, if you're having breakfast, lunch, or dinner, you're drinking a soda, look at the name of the brand. You'll see an R with a circle around it. That identifies that symbol as a registered trademark with the federal government. You'll see the circle with the R around it all the time. If you see a TM on something, that means that company or individual is given the public constructive notice that they're in the process of trademarking that good or service.
And it not only can it be goods or services, but things like Coca-Cola is a great example. Did you know that the contour shape of the Coca-Cola bottle is trademarked? No one can shape a soda bottle like that. And they did that for this very reason. They wanted their product, when you grab it, even if you can't see the Coke logo or the Coke name on it, you would know from the shape of the bottle that you are actually holding onto a Coke bottle. They can do that with names, with logos, with products. And it really is to help protect the people who are making the product from people trying to rip them off, from trying to knock off the product.
Yeah, and this area of law is very complex. That's why there's some amazing lawyers out there who specialize in this, because, like I said, even in law school, I really struggled to wrap my head around this for a while. So,
and you went to law school, and you have a problem understanding it. That tells you how complicated it is.
Exactly, and I do use Google to help me sometimes. And also, great lawyer Dave Cate. I called him up for a little bit of advice on this topic. So he's a kick butt attorney in this area. Yeah, and also, fun fact, he raced in the Iceman with my dad, and he kicked some butt. Yeah, sure. He's great.
So let's talk about this company that's trying to trademark the word cannabis. Give the backstory on that.
So this great company, they specialize in everything green. They're a really big player in the game. I give them a lot of credit. They've just blown up, and they're spread out over multiple states. A lot of people invest stock in their company. Anyways, I'm just really proud because they're doing amazing things for the cannabis industry. What's happening right now is this company filed with the United States Patent and Trademark Office so that they could use the word cannabis on T-shirts and other merchandise, and they want to be the ones to solely do this. So let's just say hypothetically that it goes through and they're successful, then they can technically collect a check that any time the word is used in a similar fashion. This company, they were recently successful in trademarking a marijuana leaf logo, but you see, this is different because this is the word cannabis. This is part of the English language, so that's why there's some controversy about it, reasonably so. I'm not saying I'm taking a side.
Yeah, people have been going just crazy out there thinking that somebody's going to be allowed by the federal government to register the word cannabis. I don't see it happening for a multitude of reasons. I'm just going to go on the record, albeit I'm a criminal defense attorney. And again, the company, we're not mentioning the company. You can look it up online. I support the company. They give a lot of money towards fighting legislation and candidates who are fighting for the end of federal prohibition. So it's a great company, great publicity for them. But again, I don't see it happening. It's a word that's been in the public domain. And if you own a trademark, part and parcel, and I've owned trademarks, is you have to enforce it. It would be absolutely freaking impossible to enforce a trademark on the word cannabis. And second of all, would the federal government allow it to happen in the first place? I don't see it happening. It would cause so much backup in courts. One, you can't enforce it. And two, I can't see it happening. But I give them credit for trying.
Another thing about this situation that is actually fabulous is making cannabis mainstream. Whether it's the conversation about it, whether it's everyone posting about it on social media, journals and newspapers writing about this and what's going on with it. the bottom line is it's making marijuana more mainstream. And I think that's really, really important, regardless of how people feel about it or the outcome.
So, I mean, I understand because I think it's much like, and I don't know this for a fact, but I don't think they can trademark a word that is technically a commodity. Cannabis is a plant, is a leaf, much like a celery stalk. You can't trademark the word celery. You could trademark Don's Celery Company because that is using the word Don, his name, describing what you're doing, but you can't trademark the word itself, celery, because anybody can grow celery. How in the world they would be able to enforce this? They would spend 10 million times the amount of money they're going to make off of trademarking the word cannabis, trying to defend the trademark. I think it's a lose-lose for them. Although it is, like you said, it is making a lot of publicity about this topic right before the election. They're smart when it comes to that kind of stuff, but I don't think it's going to happen.
And it's getting the people talking, whether it's good or bad. It's publicity, right? This is all over the internet. If you look, some people are happy, some people aren't, but it's getting them talking, and something, food for thought, because I always like to play devil's advocate with my own thoughts and feelings. I just asked myself, if this was a small, tiny local company who was doing this, would the cannabis community be as offended? So, are they offended because it's a massive corporation doing it? They're in 4 key states. They have 19 licensed facilities nationwide, which is amazing. But, to some of us, so I just kind of asked myself, am I reacting a certain way because it is a bigger company and I automatically assume, oh, they're abusing their money and power. But really, maybe they're not. So it's just something to think about.
The word cannabis, it's too descriptive. That's why it's never going to happen. For instance, you can't trademark the word dirt or wood or water. It's the same thing with cannabis. It's been in I'm not a trademark attorney, but it's been in the public domain for so long, tens of thousands, if not millions of people have used it in various forms. It's completely unenforceable. And why would the federal government in the first place allow that when it's going to backlog the courts for decades and decades to come? Look, I wish the company best of luck. I support them, but I don't see it happening.
Todd, here it is. It's like when you watch Shark Tank and you see some of those people who come on Shark Tank with their ideas and they know no way in the world would they ever get a deal. But you know what they get? They get 5 minutes of national television time and publicity for their product. So maybe that somebody else will give them a deal or something, not one of the sharks.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the same thing.
Rachel's got a lot of friends that she went to law school with in Chicago, and she's been in contact with them. And they all listen to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show featuring a handsome and talented Craig Russell and yours truly, and co-hosting now by Rachel. Rachel, what do your friends in Chicago had to say about this issue regarding cannabis and trademarking it? I know you spoke to a few and they reached out to you.
I just want to give a shout out to all my great friends back in Chicago. I miss you guys so much. All my colleagues there, my former peers, and also my great friends in Michigan who I haven't seen in a long time. You've been really supportive of the show, and you love hearing me come on it, so it makes me a little less nervous when I'm talking to the audience. Anyways, all right, so after talking with my friends in Chicago and whatnot about this issue, I'm going to be honest, some of them are split because, and that's the great thing about laws, Craig, they could go either way. Some people say, this might go through because X, Y, Z, and others say, heck no. So, but it's one of the most interesting things about the law. The laws are out there for people to advocate on their own behalfs, to fight for what they want and to win. So I think we can't sit here and say this is going to happen, and we're not saying that because we have no idea. So it'll be really, really interesting for all of us to follow what ends up happening with this. So
Rachel Levitt, Todd Jr., always a pleasure to have you on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. We've got to take a break, but when we come back, we will talk more about not only this, but also THC breathalyzers and the upcoming election on Tuesday. What other states are involved in the marijuana law approval process? We will talk
and
about
I have another
that.
complaint, too, when we come back. I have another complaint. I'm just fed up, and I got to get this out. I want to come back strong with some Van Halen, and I'm going to get right to a complaint. We got more of Rachel on the show, more THC, more cannabis. Craig, let's get to it.
The Todd L. Levitt Law Show thanks you for listening to our podcast. If you have a business you think people would want to hear about, the Todd L. Levitt Law Show accepts advertising. We can promote your business to a very specialized, targeted audience. Any size commitment and any budget. Email toddlevittlawshow@gmail.com for more information about sponsoring and advertising on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show podcast.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Coming back strong with Unchained by Van Halen. Right here on Todd's Rock Block, 24 hours, 7 days a week. We're turning it and burning it, but we're a law show, and we got to get back to the topics. Craig Russell, we're going to be talking about an update on THC breathalyzers. I got a little bit more to say. So does Rachel in regards to this massive, amazing company trying to trademark the word cannabis. What's my opinion on it? I give them credit for trying. As Rachel said, it brings cannabis more, if not already so, to the mainstream. Tuesday coming up in the state of Michigan. Voters go to the polls and the ballot boxes. I say recreational cannabis is coming to the state of Michigan here in just 2 days. First, I have a complaint, Craig Russell. I have another complaint.
I can't believe it. You're shocking me. What's your complaint?
Well, one of two complaints. Number one, I'm just fed up when I have to leave for court early in the morning because I am a criminal defense attorney and I do go to court. I want people just to slow down. Okay, I've been tailgated twice this week, and no offense against women drivers, but again, it's the minivan. I don't know what it is about minivans. They all look like they have been involved in automobile accidents. And second of all, I'm always being tailgated, and I'm in a big truck, big Chevy truck, by somebody who I believe just dropped their kids off to school, and they were running late, so now they're running home to get ready to go back to work. I'm all for, men and women, taking their kids to school and rushing around, but I'm just tired of being tailgated in the morning. If you're tailgating me, guess what I'm doing? I'm slowing down. I don't drive like a turtle. I drive the way I drive. I'm a very defensive, aggressive driver within the law. But if you're tailgating me, you're going to have to go around me when it's safe because I'm not moving, especially if there's a minivan behind my, huge Chevy truck. Number one complaint. Number two complaint, I'm sick and tired every freaking time I go to a checkout at a store, a big box store, a pharmacy, a drugstore, and I have to be asked 10 questions. I feel like I'm taking the SAT, ACT test. Are you a member? Do you have a card? Will you put your phone number in? Are you a points member? Would you like to be one? Do you want cash back? Are you satisfied? Would you like to take a survey? Absolutely freaking not. I don't have a card. I don't want any points. I want to give you my cash, give me my change. I need to get the heck out of there. I'm going to start a convenience store where you come in, you pay. I'm not going to ask you any questions. Just get the heck out of there.
How many shots of espresso have you had this morning? My God, you are
Greg,
on fire.
Think about it. How many times are you tailgated on a daily basis? And not only that, think about the SAT, ACT test you have to take every time you go and you purchase a product. It's absolutely obnoxious. Look, I grew up in the 70s and 80s. It was never like this. We need to go back to the 70s and 80s. We did fine back then. We can do it again.
I'll say this much. Yeah, I can't do anything about the tailgating people, but there is a way to get around the whole asking points and all that stuff at the store. Go to the self-checkout, man. Go to the self-checkout.
No, because they never work. It never works. You always have to ask for assistance. And then whoever that computerized lady is on that machine, I always get in an argument with her. And she never responds to me. So I'm done with it. Let's get back to cannabis, Craig.
That probably sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, let me just put a disclaimer out there. I'm a criminal defense attorney for 25 years. I specialize in defending the rights of those who have their constitutional rights attacked and violated. I do a lot of drunk driving cases. I do a lot of cannabis defense cases. And I'm a constitutionalist. I love and support the Constitution, the First, Second, Third, Fourth Amendment. I love the Constitution. My daughter, Rachel, who comes on the show, she's currently waiting for her bar results. She went to law school. She graduated with honors. She's extremely knowledgeable. We are not trademark lawyers, nor do we claim to be.
Nope.
A good friend of mine, Dave Cate, who shredded the Iceman with me yesterday, he's a patent trademark attorney. We spoke to him about some of these issues, and one of the first things he said to us was, it's too descriptive. The word cannabis is too descriptive. It's not going to happen. He said it's too descriptive and unenforceable. And I tend to agree with that because if you own a trademark, folks, it's your job and duty to police that trademark to make sure other people are not violating the goods and services that you're providing to the public and identifying those goods and services through a form of a trademark, either a word or a symbol or a combination thereof. But again, this major company, which I support, is trying to trademark the word cannabis. I don't see it happening. I give them a lot of credit, though, because this company gives a lot of money to the cause, and they're great men and women, but I don't see it happening.
One of my amazing friends in Chicago made a really good point. Because they're just simply trying to register the word cannabis, just cannabis, and they're not stylizing it, they're not using it with a logo or design. That's why it's not going to work to trademark it for clothing. So basically her point was if they styled it more and they threw their design on there or something, then they might be a lot more successful. So that was a really good point. Also, I was reading that many people have tried to trademark that word going back into the 1990s. So I'm not sure if that's true, but that's what I was reading. So this maybe was already attempted.
There might be a precedent already set that they're not going to allow you to trademark just the word cannabis on its own, by itself, without a logo, without a company name or anything like that. If it's been unsuccessful in the past, why would it be any different now just because it's more well-known or just because it's legal in more places in the country doesn't mean. And that's another thing, too. How in the world, if it is still technically an illegal product in the United States, how in the world would a government entity, the United States Patent and Trademark Office, how can they even begin to trademark something that's illegal? You can't trademark the word cocaine. I can't see how they'll.
Well, Craig, you bring up the number one issue. In fact, right. I was just going to talk about that. Exactly. I mean, the federal government still classifies, hemp and cannabis together with heroin under Schedule 1 of the Controlled Substance Act. I do feel that's going to change here in the next 2 to 4 years. I absolutely do. And so, what is the government's willingness to even allow a trademark to go through the USPTO, United States Patent and Trademark Office, when you have to, when you trade, again, we're not trademark attorneys, but when you do file for a trademark, you have to list the goods and services. There's a classification on the government website, and you have to pay an additional fee in regards to how many different goods and services you're going to use that word for. And again, you're correct, Craig. I don't even see the government allowing this to take place because of the federal laws at this time. Again, the company, look it up. They're a great company. I mean, I support the company that's attempting to do this. I just don't think it's going to take place for the multitude of reasons that Rachel, you and I have spoke about. But again, it's a great company.
Getting on to another cannabis topic, you were talking earlier about the THC breathalyzer. A few shows back, we talked about how eventually, especially in states where medicinally or recreational, that marijuana is legal in, that they have a breathalyzer now that they can actually use to test the level of THC in you, or they're going to develop it. What's the latest on that, Todd?
Well, I've got a lot of calls and questions and emails from individuals who are concerned, rightfully so, because Michigan, if you're listening to the show, it's more than likely Michigan is now a recreational state, albeit today is Sunday, and in 2 days the voters in this state go to the ballot boxes, and I do believe it's going to pass overwhelmingly in the state of Michigan. And the question becomes, who's going to be out there operating a motor vehicle, and if they have a legal right to possess, cannabis in their homes now, if you're 21 and over, what about if you're pulled over on the side of the road? Well, there is a law in the state of Michigan, it's zero tolerance. You cannot be operating any motor vehicle with any level of illegal drugs in your system or a legal drug that, is at certain thresholds. So, the question is, what about these THC breathalyzers that are being developed out there? Now there's a company called Cannabix out of Vancouver, Cannabix Technologies. They've been in development for a number of years with a device. Draeger already has a device out there. As a defense attorney, folks, I'm going to tell you first and foremost, one, there's got to be more clinical trials. You can't it's not just going to be where the device is going to be put out there on the market. You're going to get pulled over, and an officer is going to ask you to submit to this test. So much has to happen. One, clinical trials. What is the science behind the technology? Because I can tell you first and foremost, lawyers are going to be out there fighting it, tooth and nail. It's going to go into the courts. It's going to go all the way up the courts. The trial courts, the appellate courts, the state Supreme Courts too. Is it going to be accepted as a court-certified device? Are the courts going to give it its due credit? Are the courts going to recognize the science behind the clinical trials, that these tests are accurate and valid, and that the individual who is now being charged with a criminal statute offense as a result of this breath test, are their rights being violated? What's the accuracy of this test? And third, the lawmakers in the state in which you live in. This show is heard all over the country and around the world. The lawmakers have got to get off their tails and discuss this issue to protect the people they represent. I do not want to see a device out on the ditches, on the roadways, where somebody's approached, told to blow into it, and then as a result of it, they're charged in a criminal court and then jammed up in the system for years at a time, costing them tens of thousands of dollars. I want to know the clinical trials. I want to know the analysis that was used in these clinical trials to reach those results. I want to know if the courts in the local jurisdiction in which the person is being, prosecuted, do they accept it as a certified, valid, credible device? And I want to know, has the motor vehicle code in the state in which you live in, has it been amended, as in Michigan under 257, to speak specifically as to what the penalties are for somebody and what the THC levels are? My big concern, Craig, here it is, folks, and Rachel agrees with me on this. In fact, she wants to talk about this. The THC levels. We know 0.08 across the country is the legal limit where somebody can be charged with operating while visibly impaired or operating while intoxicated. What are the THC levels going to be at? Active THC can stay in your system for 30, 60 days. If you go to mycompassion.org, which, by the way, great organization, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but what are the THC levels going to be at? If you have 2 nanograms in your system, if you have 6 nanograms in your system, these devices are going to test the THC level through your saliva, folks. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm one of those attorneys out there that are going to fight tooth and nail for your constitutional rights, that when these devices hit the streets, and this is not solicitation, but Todd L. Levitt at Levitt Law Firm, we're going to fight for you. I mean, I'm one of those attorneys.
I really, really agree with my dad on this. It's just, it just worries me. It's really sketchy. I'm not going to lie. I lose sleep over this kind of stuff, because how are they going to detect the THC levels? The people writing these laws, where, they're not in the streets talking to people. They don't have experience with this firsthand. I don't mean to clump everyone into one group, but I'm sorry. A lot of times the lawmakers, they just don't have experience with the types of things that they're writing the laws about. So I'm really, really worried, because 0.08 is a legal limit, but how are they going to detect THC? Are they going to go back 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours? How are they going to pick how many nanograms are acceptable? I'm just really scared. I'm not going to lie. I really hope our lawmakers can make us proud and not take complete advantage of us on this one.
And to add to that, good point, Rachel, to add to that, I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but in Michigan, since we're going to be a recreational state, which I absolutely believe, I would ask each of those lawmakers to participate in smoking certain THC levels, and then get behind the wheel on a protective private course to see how they react with certain THC levels. If you take a hit of a joint or a doobie, I'm 53, or some bud, or out of a bong when it's legal to do so, everyone's going to react different. I would like to see the lawmakers, put themselves in the same position as the citizens of the state in which we live in, who are going to be subject to the constitutional violations due to these devices. Now, are the devices coming? Absolutely, folks. You can plan on it. There will be THC breathalyzers probably in all 50 states. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Look, it could be a good thing. We don't want anybody out there participating in anything legal that's going to put anyone at risk. You should never operate heavy equipment intoxicated either from drugs or alcohol, whether you have a right to do so or not. We support law enforcement. We say it each and every week on the show, and we want to keep all the law enforcement officers out there safe as well as they're doing their job. But with that being said, as a defense attorney, I want to make sure that the science is absolute in this area, and it will be a good thing because it will keep all of us safe.
And Dad, I agree with everything you just said. I just want to add to that. What really also worries me is that when any time a device is involved, a new device, I think of money. And because sadly, the lawmakers think of money. And I don't mean to sound like, I didn't get into any crazy conspiracies, but that is facts. People, they want to make money. The lawmakers want to make other people money. And that can result in citizens being taken advantage of in ridiculous ways. I mean, don't even get me started. I could go on for days and days about how people are taken advantage of by laws just to make huge companies and lawmakers money. It's sickening. It really sickens me.
Hey, Todd, how you always want to do your 24-hour rock block where you're on the air for 24 hours straight playing your hard rock music, Todd, on the Black Diamond radio stations? There's a better chance of that happening than a lawmaker having some THC in their system and then going out and driving in a protected area and finding out what it's like. Let me just say that.
That's amazing. That's the best point I've heard all day. I still like my dad's proposition, though.
I agree.
Hey, I apologize, by the way, earlier to all the substitute teachers who taught me when I was in elementary school. I don't know if I remember. I'm getting old. Did I remember to do that?
Yes, you did. We have to take a break, but when we come back, we'll talk about all the states that have ballot initiatives for marijuana coming up on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. We'll be right back. The Todd L. Levitt Law Show thanks you for listening to our podcast. If you have a business you think people would want to hear about, the Todd L. Levitt Law Show accepts advertising. We can promote your business to a very specialized, targeted audience. Any size commitment and any budget. Email toddlevittlawshow@gmail.com for more information about sponsoring and advertising on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show podcast.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Turning it and burning it in the mothership with Van Halen, Unchained, coming off the Iceman yesterday. We shred the gnar. And Craig, what a big show we've had. I'm fired up right now. I'm going to have to go out and ride the Vasa again, but what a great show. Everybody, if you missed any portion of the show, be sure to check us out on all the different podcast platforms out there.
Yes, and thank you very much to Todd Jr., that would be Rachel Levitt, for being on the show, providing all the excellent information that she always does. As you know, Rachel, you are always welcome anytime.
Thank you so much, Craig, and to all the listeners and my friends listening. Another shout out. Hi, guys. It's been awesome being on the show, as always. I just want to ask everyone, get out, go vote. Please go vote. It is so important. And one more thing, go green, baby, go green.
And
she's not referring to college football when she says that. Okay?
I didn't think so. And speaking of the vote, Todd, in Michigan and North Dakota, that is another state that has recreational marijuana on the ballot on Tuesday. And in Missouri and Utah, it is for medical marijuana. Right now, the current status of the polls: 61% in Michigan say yes, 33% say no. In Utah, 64% say yes and 33% say no. So, Dayton, Ohio is trying to make a local decriminalization of marijuana, and also in the state of Ohio, they're trying to do that as well. And in Wisconsin, it's a county-by-county thing. So there's plenty of places where marijuana is on the ballot. And, of course, there's lots of other reasons to get out and vote, so make sure you do that on Tuesday. Vote, vote, vote.
Next week, we're going to do an entire show, Craig and listeners, on the results of all these states and what that means for you in the state in which you live in and states where it's coming. And big shout out to all our listeners around the world, Canada, Europe, Australia, everywhere. Thanks for downloading the show.
That's about it, Todd. We got to get going.
Craig, I'm not just a litigator. I'm an advocator coming off the Iceman with all my boys. Take us out, Van Halen. Unchained, baby. See you next week.
Some leg tonight for sure. Tell us how you do. Come on, Dave, give me a break. Hey, one break coming up. Change, nothing stays the same. Out of change, yeah, you hit the ground running. Change, ain't nothing stays the same. Out of change, yeah, you hit the ground running. Change.
The Todd L. Levitt Law Show, brought to you by Chad Mallywell Drilling of Rosebush, Clark Modular Homes, your most experienced and trusted builder in Mount Pleasant, Clear Vision Windows, Siding, Roofing, and Attic Installation of Midland, Mackinac Properties and Northern Michigan Vacation Rentals, buying, selling, and renting properties in the Straits of Mackinac region since 1998, Tim's Collision Plus in Roscommon, Harrison Power Sports, Central Michigan's fastest-growing full-line Arctic Cat dealer, and Dr. Robert Townsend and Denali Healthcare for your alternative healthcare needs.
Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.